So I'm going to talk about symbols that I've come across that have been used in Buddhism from the earliest days and how we can relate to them today. I'm no Buddhist scholar and I'm not an art historian, but I came across a lot of Buddhist imagery when I studied art in India and as I traveled around India and Nepal. And the impact these symbols have there is really profound. Can I have the next slide, Todd? I found that in these cultures, which were primarily Tibetan Buddhist or practicing Vajrayana Buddhism, people used symbols everywhere in the daily life. We could have the next picture. Much as we might see a brand logo here on a shirt or shoes or an ad on the side of the buildings, in India, every cab driver had Buddhist or Hindu images dangling from the rearview mirror, statues on the dashboard. Most people wore prayer beads or turbans or particular colors of clothing, or visibly showed other references to their faith. Next one, Todd. There were symbols drawn on walls and stores and sidewalks and streets. Prayer flags flew from buildings, trees, and rooftops. And the next one. These were just some rock images of Om on there. And here's one of the temples with prayer flags. And the next slide, Tab. Temples there were just, here you could see some images of the Dharma wheel on the ground outside this stupa. And the next one, Todd. Temples were seriously ornate. I mean, every inch was covered in some kind of symbol. And we can have the next one. Next slide. The earliest symbols found for Buddhism around the 1st century didn't depict the Buddha himself, but more the effect of his teachings on the life around him. Next one, please. A footprint is one of the earliest symbols seen in Buddhist art, sometimes painted and sometimes carved in stone. This is said to represent the Buddha's teachings and the impact his passage through life had on those around him. Sometimes the Dharma chakra or Dharma wheel is seen on the soul, like in this picture, or other auspicious signs are painted or engraved there. This footprint is said to represent what he left behind, his teachings, his life as an example of how to conduct oneself, etc. And the next, please, Todd. A swastika is another very old symbol used by both Buddhists and Hindus. It's primarily used as a good luck sign now, seen on buildings and temple walls. But I usually did a double take whenever I saw one, thinking of its more recent symbolism. With the spread of Buddhism to China and Japan, the swastika came to represent abundance, prosperity, and long life. And the next slide, please. Buddha eyes, also called wisdom eyes, are seen on many Buddhist structures and shrines known as stupas. They show the all-seeing, omniscient eyes of the Buddha, and they represent his presence all around us. The curly line below the eyes in the middle is Sanskrit for the numeral 1, symbolizing unity of everything. The dot between the eyes indicates the third eye or spiritual awakening. And the next slide, please. You can see it here on a stupa. The eyes are up near that red band near the top of the building. Next slide, please. In Dharamsala in northern India, where I lived, the culture was primarily Tibetan Buddhist, and in that area, prayer flags were flown from every available surface. Traditionally, they're used to promote peace, compassion, strength, and wisdom. The Tibetans believe that prayers stamped on the flags will be blown by the wind to spread goodwill and compassion into all-pervading space. So they're thought to bring benefit to all. This picture is the actual tree in Lumbini under which the Buddha was born. It's a wonderful shrine that was very, very, very sacred space. Next image, please. In the prayer flags, there's 5 traditional colors. Blue representing sky and space, white representing air and wind, red symbolizing fire, green symbolizing water, and yellow symbolizing earth. And the next picture, please. Om Mani Padme Hum is inscribed on each flag. Om symbolizes pure body, speech, and mind. Mani for jewel or method, the intention to become enlightened. Padme, the lotus for wisdom and purity. Hum, the seed syllable of immovable, unfluctuating, that which cannot be disturbed by anything. And as the images fade on the flags over time, they are joined by new flags. They're not really replaced, they're just added to, as it represents life being replaced with new life and welcoming changes while reflecting on the ongoing circle of life. And the next slide, please. Other Buddhist symbols that I frequently saw are the 8 auspicious symbols in Buddhism. This first one is the parasol or umbrella. And an umbrella provides protections from the elements, sun and rain. But as an auspicious symbol in Buddhism, it's our protection from suffering and harmful forces. Next, please. 2 golden fish. In earliest times, the 2 fish symbolized the Ganges and Yamuna rivers. And over time, they came to represent luck and fortune and the courage and fearlessness to face the ocean of suffering and swim freely like fish through water. Next, please. The conch shell, historically in many cultures, is used as a battle horn. In Buddhism, the white conch means the profound and joyful sound of the Dharma teachings, awakening that disciples receive when they hear these. It's the rousing. Next, please. The lotus is one of the symbols as well. The roots of the deeply in the mud, yet grows up and through impurities into the sunlight, where it creates a beautiful, pure flow. It symbolizes how we rise from suffering to reach enlightenment. Body, speech, and mind floating above attachment and desire, blossoming wholesome deeds in liberation. Next slide, please. The different colors of the lotus have different shades of meaning. White is spiritual and mental purity. Pink is the traditional Buddha. Purple for mysticism. Red is love and compassion. And blue for wisdom. Next, please. The banner of victory stands for how the Buddha won over the demon Mara, passion, lust, pride, attachment, ignorance, anger. It's used to remind people that we can win over our own attachments and ignorance and anger. Next, please. A vase has a potential to be filled with anything. In Buddhist symbolism, it means health, wealth, prosperity, and all good things that come with enlightenment. Next, please. The Dharma wheel, also called Dharma chakra or Dhamma chakra, represents the Buddha himself and his teachings. The 8 spokes represent Buddha's 8-fold path. Next slide, please. The eternal knot. The eternal knot symbolizes how everything is connected, religion and secular affairs, the intertwining of compassion and wisdom, all is united and connected to each other. And next, please. So we have all these ancient symbols with various meanings from a variety of cultures. So what? How does this relate to us here and now? Well, we live in really difficult times, at times very troubling. Everywhere I look, there seems to be a new crisis. And often I can't find words to express how I felt any of it. But one thing I've learned about art is that it can have a strong message and impact us deeply without words. We don't need words. Images, colors, shapes, and the feelings they awaken can have a very profound effect on us. And add to this the traditional meanings of some of these symbols, and we can have comfort, find meaning, remember the Buddhist teachings. So my challenge to you is to look around you to find a connection between what you see and a possible symbolic meaning. So let's take a look at these symbols that I just talked about. Next slide, please. The footprint. Well, the next time you step out of your shower, look down at the bath mat or the tile and notice your footprints. The Buddhist footprint symbol speaks to the effect he and his teachings had on the world around him. But you create footprints every day with your children, your friends, connections, all the actions you take leave a pathway affecting all around. Next, please. Or in the morning, when you look in the mirror to shave or put on makeup, or when you brush your teeth, notice your eyes. The Buddha eye represents the all-seeing eye of the Buddha and his presence around us. It's looking back at you. And if you are one to pluck the hair between your eyebrows, think about that curl in the Buddha eye symbol. That's the number 1 in Sanskrit script. That's the unity of all things right between your eyebrows. Next, please. The prayer flags. If you ever hang clothes up to dry, you might remember the waving of Buddhist prayer flags, sending prayers of compassion and goodwill to all beings. Just think what power your underwear can have. Next, please. And the 8 auspicious symbols. The parasol or umbrella, protection from suffering. Well, the next time it rains and you grab your umbrella, you think about that. And if you look really closely under that blue umbrella, there's a little tiny glimpse you can get of the Dalai Lama. Next, please. 2 golden fish. They face the ocean of suffering and they swim fearlessly. Well, are you having tilapia for dinner? Or when you drive or walk by one of our lakes, think about the fish freely swimming below with courage and fearlessness. Next, please. Conch shell, representing the profound and joyful sound of the Dharma, an awakening from ignorance. I had a hard time coming up with an analogy for the conch. The best I could think of was a speaker, like a stereo speaker or a radio, or some way to project sound, or maybe an alarm clock, awakening us from ignorance or sleep. Next, please. The lotus. The lotus symbolizes how we rise from suffering to reach enlightenment. Purity of body, speech, and mind, floating above attachment and desire, blossoming wholesome deeds in liberation. Well, you could reflect on the lotus if you get a bouquet of flowers, or even if you see a floral print on your clothes or furniture or something. Next, please. The banner of victory, representing we can win over our own attachments, ignorance, anger. Well, we see banners all around us these days. Masks must be worn, big sale, 50% off, Tuesday special. Any of these could remind us of striving for our personal victory over our attachments. Next, please. The vase. In Buddhism, it means health, wealth, prosperity, all good things that come with enlightenment. A vase can be filled with anything. So the next time you put some flowers in a vase or even coffee in a mug, you could think about this symbol. Next, please. The Dharma wheel represents the Buddha himself and his teachings, the 8 spokes representing Buddha's 8-fold paths. Well, does anybody drive a car? You start up the car, you put your hands on the wheel. You could be holding the Dharma teachings in your hands every day. Next, please. We got another surprise. Oh, another Dharma wheel there. Yeah, this was from Sarnath, the place where the Buddha did his very first teachings. A beautiful place to visit. Next one, please. The eternal knot. That symbolizes how everything is interconnected. Well, when you're trying to comb out that tangle in your hair, or like me trying to deal with the tangle of cords between my computer and my printer and all my techno devices, here's an opportunity to think about the interconnectedness of things. Next, please. And I'm sure you can think of many more examples, but my challenge to you is to look around at the world every day as filled with symbols that reflect the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. It's all there for us. We just need to see it. And the last slide, please. Thank you much.